Let's be honest. When a woman allows you to touch one very particular part of her body, your world doesn't suddenly transform. There's no cinematic moment, no instant possession, no dramatic shift where she becomes yours. But something far more significant happens beneath the surface. A quiet psychological threshold is crossed, and most men don't even notice it. They assume attraction announces itself loudly, that it's obvious, physical, unmistakable. It isn't. Real attraction is subtle. It's permission. It's trust. It's a woman allowing you into a space she guards carefully from almost everyone, and if you don't understand what that space represents, you'll either rush forward and lose her, or hesitate until you fade out of relevance. I'm going to speak to you from the perspective of a woman who understands how women think when men aren't around. Not what we say publicly, not what we post, but what actually happens internally. There is one area of the body that isn't sexual in the way you've been conditioned to believe, yet psychologically it carries more intimacy than almost anything else. It isn't about desire by itself, it's about safety, emotional alignment, and how she categorizes you in her mind. That area is her hands and forearms. Listen carefully. A woman's hands are how she manages boundaries. They are her interface with the world. They push away what feels wrong and draw closer what feels safe. When a woman allows you to touch her hands or forearm casually and naturally, and more importantly, she doesn't pull away, she isn't thinking about sex. She's making a much deeper decision. She's assessing whether your presence soothes her nervous system or triggers her defenses. Most men believe attraction begins below the waist. For women, it begins in the nervous system. If your touch feels grounding rather than demanding, familiar rather than intrusive, her body registers you as safe. And safety is the gateway emotion to desire. Without it, nothing progresses. With it, everything becomes possible over time. Here's what almost no one tells you. Women don't allow this kind of touch by accident. Even when it looks casual, even when she brushes it off with a laugh, her body has already decided before her mind puts words to it. If she lets your fingers linger when you hand her something, if she doesn't tense when you gently guide her by the forearm through a crowd, if she leans in instead of away, that isn't politeness, that's acceptance. But understand this clearly, the meaning isn't in the touch itself, it's in how she responds to it. Does her body soften? Does her breathing slow? Does she maintain eye contact afterward? Those micro-responses tell you more than any flirtatious message ever could. Women communicate attraction through comfort long before they communicate it through words. And this is where men destroy everything. They misinterpret this moment as permission to escalate too quickly physically or emotionally. They convert trust into pressure. The second that happens, her nervous system snaps shut. And once that door closes, you don't get another chance to be The man who understands this doesn't rush. He stays calm and present. He allows the moment to breathe. He doesn't feel the need to prove anything because he understands that when a woman allows that level of touch, she isn't offering her body. She's evaluating whether you deserve continued access to her emotional world. And that evaluation is everything. What most men don't realize is that women are constantly sorting men into internal categories. And those categories aren't logical. They're emotional. You aren't placed into the potential partner category because you're attractive, successful, or confident. You're placed there because her body feels different around you. That difference shows up in subtle ways. How close she stands. How long she lingers. How easily she allows you into her physical space without tension. When a woman lets you touch her hands or forearm comfortably, her subconscious is asking one question: do I feel more like myself around this man, or less? If your presence quiets her mind instead of accelerating it, you've already separated yourself from most men competing for her attention. Attraction for women is subtractive, not additive. She isn't asking what you bring, she's asking what you remove. Do you remove peace, safety, and emotional control? Or do you remove stress, self-consciousness, and pressure? Here's a hard truth many men resist. Women are rarely attracted to men who want them too badly. Not because desire is unattractive, but because it introduces instability. A man who needs validation turns touch into a transaction. His hand isn't commits asking. And women feel that immediately. The moment touch carries expectation, it stops being soothing and starts feeling invasive, no matter how gentle it appears. That's why two men can touch the same woman in the same way and receive opposite reactions. One is welcomed closer, the other is subtly rejected. The difference isn't technique, it's emotional posture. One man is grounded within himself, the other is seeking permission to feel worthy. When a woman repeatedly allows that kind of touch from you, she is unconsciously saying, "You don't disrupt me." And in female psychology, that is rare. Most men bring emotional volatility, ego needs, hidden agendas. The man who doesn't feels different. Safer, familiar. Almost like home. And familiarity, combined with masculine presence, is deeply attractive. There's another layer most men never see. When a woman allows that touch during quiet moments without alcohol, without social pressure, without an audience, she's revealing more than attraction. She's revealing trust in yourself. She's observing whether you respect the boundary she offers, instead of trying to expand it. Women aren't afraid of confident men. They're afraid of men who don't know when to stop. If you honor that moment without escalating, something powerful happens. Her curiosity deepens. She begins to wonder why you're different, why you're not taking more, why being near you feels easy rather than performative. This is where masculine patience becomes magnetic, not passive, not timid, composed. You don't withdraw. You don't chase. You remain steady, present, and her nervous system relaxes further in response. That relaxation becomes the foundation for everything that follows: emotional openness, desire, attachment. Without it, nothing holds. With it, nothing needs to be forced. Now listen closely, because this is where attraction quietly shifts into attachment, and where most men unknowingly break the spell. When a woman allows that unguarded touch, she isn't inviting intensity. She's inviting consistency. Her body is asking a question her mind hasn't fully formed yet. Is this man stable over time, or is this just a moment? Women, watch patterns, not promises. You can say all the right things and still lose her if your emotional energy fluctuates. Confident one day, insecure the next. Attentive one moment, reactive withdrawal the next. Every inconsistency signals instability, and instability shuts down emotional openness faster than almost anything else. This is why that specific touch matters so much. Hands and forearms aren't charged with fantasy, they're charged with real life. If she feels comfortable there, she's testing whether you can exist in her everyday world, not just as excitement, but as continuity. Most men chase intensity. Women look for emotional reliability disguised as calm strength. Here's something very few men understand. A woman becomes attached not when she feels overwhelmed, but when she feels understood without needing to explain herself. If your presence allows her to be quiet without awkwardness, to drop her guard to exist without performing femininity, you're already winning. Touch is simply the physical expression of that emotional permission. But there's a danger here. When men sense this shift, they often change. They text more, they seek reassurance, they subtly ask her to regulate their emotions. And when that happens, her body tightens again. Not because attraction vanished, but because she feels responsible for your emotional state. Masculine strength, here is emotional self-sufficiency. Knowing how you feel without needing confirmation. Allowing attraction to unfold instead of interrogating it. When a woman feels that you can hold your own emotional center, she relaxes deeper into connection. When she senses that she must manage your uncertainty, attraction erodes. Another truth women rarely say aloud. We are constantly assessing how a man handles emotional power. When she allows touch, she gives you a small amount of influence over her internal state. If you handle it gently, trust grows. If you exploit it, even subtly, she withdraws. Often without explanation, and once emotional withdrawal begins, physical distance eventually follows. Not always immediately. Sometimes weeks later. Men think attraction vanished overnight. It didn't. It dissolved gradually when her body stopped feeling safe, expanding around you. The man who understands this remains aligned. He doesn't become colder or more intense. He simply stays himself. He leads without controlling. He listens without fixing. He touches without taking. And here's the quiet reward for that discipline. When a woman feels consistently safe with you, she begins to initiate. Not to impress you, but because her body associates you with both comfort and desire. That's when attraction stops being something you chase and becomes something that moves toward you. At these states, something subtle but irreversible happens inside her. She stops evaluating you the way she evaluates other men. You're no longer being compared to a list of traits or past experiences. You become a reference point, and that's emotionally dangerous for a woman because her feelings are no longer abstract, they're embodied. This is why women become cautious here, not distant. She may slow down without pulling away. She may test your reactions quietly. Do you stay grounded when she needs space? Do you change when she's uncertain? These aren't games, they're self-protection. When a woman allows that touch during moments of uncertainty, when she's quiet, conflicted, reflective, that's a deeper level entirely. You're no longer just present. You're stabilizing. Very few men reach this position because it requires emotional restraint. Most men want certainty once momentum builds. Labels, reassurance, control. But female desire doesn't grow under pressure. It grows in space. Your role here isn't to impress or escalate. It's to remain consistent, calm, and present. You don't provoke with distance. You don't secure with intensity. You allow your presence to speak. That steadiness communicates one essential message. I am not a threat to your autonomy. And autonomy is sacred to women. The fastest way to lose her is to make her feel that choosing you means losing herself. The fastest way to deepen attraction is to make her feel more herself around you. When she initiates touch, now resting her hand on you, brushing your fingers, leaning in without thinking, that isn't accidental. It's familiarity. Comfort, emotional ownership that still feels safe. But understand this clearly. This is connection, not possession. Men who confuse the two always sabotage what they've earned. You don't own her trust. You're invited into her world because you respect it. The men who succeed long-term never feel entitled to intimacy. They treat closeness as something alive, not something conquered. Women feel that difference instantly. When a woman senses that you want intimacy, she opens further emotionally first, physically, later, naturally. And by the time she realizes how deeply she's involved, it feels normal, because you never made it dramatic. That's the power here. Not dominance, not control, quiet, disciplined presence. Now we reach the part most men misunderstand. When a woman reaches this level of comfort, she's no longer deciding if she likes you. She's deciding who she becomes around you. And women attach through identity, not desire. If being with you makes her feel calmer, more grounded, more herself, her nervous system begins to associate you with regulation. You become where her mind goes to feel steady. And once that association forms, attraction deepens in a way that is hard to undo. This is why that simple, respectful touch matters. It signals emotional safety. Her body knows it before her logic does. And when the body decides first, the mind usually follows. Here's a quiet truth women rarely admit. We don't fall for men who impress us. We fall for men who can contain us emotionally, not contain. The ability to hold space without reacting, fixing, or collapsing. Many men sabotage this by becoming overly available or reactive. They sense attachment and start orbiting her life. They abandon their direction. And, in doing so, they remove the very structure that made her feel safe. Masculine polarity isn't dominance. It's direction. A man who knows where he's going provides a frame a woman can relax into. When you abandon that frame to chase approval, attraction erodes. If she later seeks you out when she's tired, stressed, or quiet, that's regulation. She feels better near you. That's a powerful position, and it comes with responsibility. If you remain steady and self-directed, trust compounds. If you become needy or controlling, her body closes even. If her words don't. Women rarely leave suddenly. They leave emotionally first. The man who understands this doesn't cling or withdraw. He stays aligned. He allows her to approach at her pace, and that patience communicates confidence louder than any words. At these days, attraction doesn't need pursuit. It needs protection through consistency, self-respect, and emotional discipline. Here's the final truth. She was never yours in the way ego wants to believe. She chose you. And a freely made choice is far more powerful than possession. Her body has already decided whether you feel safe or temporary. If she seeks your presence without gain, relaxes into silence, and your touch remains natural even during complexity, you've crossed the real threshold. Women don't open fully to men they must manage. They open to men who manage themselves. The moment a man believes he owns a woman's affection is the moment he stops honoring it. Entitlement replaces presence, and attraction suffocates quietly. A woman stays connected when she feels free, not claimed. When she can choose you daily, instead of being expected to remain. The power was never the body part. It was what the permission represented: trust, safety, emotional alignment, and those are sustained only by the man who remains the same when there's nothing left to prove. Women don't remember every man who touched them. They remember the man who made them feel calm in a chaotic world. So ask yourself honestly, when a woman is around you, does she feel more peaceful or more alert? If you understand this, you stop guessing, and you start living in a way that naturally draws the right connection toward you.